right. I think we are live, everybody. Welcome, welcome. It is super exciting to be on our Tuesday night Why Plexus call. Thank you for joining us. My name is Cassie Rainey, and I have been taking the products for almost 9 years. It is wild how time has flown. But over the last 8.5, 9 years, I have truly fallen in love with these products because of the power of what they can do. And tonight you're going to get to hear some stories of some very, very dear friends of mine that through Plexus we connected, and their stories of gut health and how it has truly impacted their daily life is truly incredible. So I'm super excited for you to get to hear their stories. If you would drop in the comments where you are tuning in from, we would love to see where everybody's from. And if you're going to watch the replay later on, feel free to just type in replay. So we are going to hop right in. We are going to start with my sweet, sweet friend, Alexis. Alexis and I met. We are both adoption mamas that we hosted our boys through an orphan hosting program way back. I guess it was 10 years ago now. It is wild. 10 years ago. And we met through that. The adoption foster community is incredible. And we met and like instantly we're like, we are meant to do life together. And so it's been really, really neat to watch over the years. Our families expand. Our kids are all super close. Our husbands are great friends. But it is so neat to watch what Plexus has done in her life. She got on the products just a few years after I did. And her story is one that truly like brings me to my knees. It makes me very, very emotional because I love her so much. And so you're going to get to hear her story. So Alexis, if you'll unmute, and we're excited to hear it.
Can y'all hear me now? Perfect. Okay. I'm Alexis Hall. My husband and I, we reside in Waco, Texas area. We have 7 kiddos. 4 are adopted and 3 I carried. And then Kevin and I have been married for 20 years. We were in ministry for 18 of those years. And that's kind of how Cassie and I have connected as well through ministry. But let's see here. So like I said, we have adopted a few kiddos, and during those adoptions, having babies and all the things, life happens. And the Lord connected Cassie and I through adoption. So she was on my Facebook feed and I saw her information often. I think back at those graphics and all of those things back then and the difference now, you know. But anyway, I just kept seeing her feed over and over and over again. And it was interesting because it would come up at the most like perfect times. And going through those adoptions, having babies, I really suffered with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. But really depression is really what had crippled me. And it started after my first son, who is now 18, postpartum depression hit me hard. And no one tells you about postpartum depression and how to handle that and what that looks like and things to look for. So I think it's a little bit more widely known now, but back then it was not. So I had no idea what was going on. And so I just went to my midwife and told her what was happening. And Zoloft and Xanax were the first things that I was on. And I stayed on those for very regularly. I tried to go off and it would not be something that could be stable for me. So I go back on medication. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person normally. I would say that I probably have a big personality. I think I've calmed down a little bit over the years, but have a big personality. I'm a fiery redhead. Um, and that demeanor can oftentimes be overlooked as she's just a really happy person. Like she doesn't have, any of these issues. So I think I dealt with that also, being a people pleaser that I am somewhat. That I continued on with medication and just kind of fought through, never really taking into account my body and how I was doing. Um, Adoption's no different than having a baby. You still have sorts of depression, especially when you struggle with that kind of initially anyway, when your body, that chemical imbalance and all those things, whenever that happens, it just kind of goes through, and that's how your body deals with stress, is really what it is. It's just a way to deal with stress. And through that process, I finally came to a point where I was on really high doses of medication and I had to have something different, had to do something different, had to take care of myself better. So again, Cassie's posts just kept popping up at the most perfect times. And one day out of the blue, I messaged her because I had just went to the doctor and they were ready to add more medication on and higher doses of things. And I couldn't do it anymore. So I reached out, asked her to just tell me about this Plexus stuff. She sent me a sample. And, that was just really a taste test. I knew that I would not necessarily notice anything from that. But I didn't mind it and I didn't feel bad on it. It didn't like do anything reverse on me or anything like that. And I was like, okay, I think I could probably do this. And then I ordered right away. I didn't tell my husband that I ordered the products. He had known that I was going to have to be on higher doses of medication and things. So within that first few days of being on Plexus products, I was a completely different person. And my husband noticed it. And when my husband noticed it, he came to me and he was so thankful that I got on higher doses of medication and that I was starting to act like myself again. I kind of told him that I had ordered these products and I didn't want his opinion about it because I had tried a couple other things. I tried a lot of things and nothing was working, but this worked. And that was almost 7 years ago. It'll be 7 years this year. So I haven't stopped. I have taken, and this is part of my story as well in Plexus, is that, and I'll try not to be too long, so I'll make it quick. But it's been 6 years. And right after I started, I was on fire for a long time. It was probably like 18 months to 2 years that it was very steady for our family and I. And then things changed, life happened, things shifted, and seasons changed to where we were at with our family and who we were and what we were doing and where our kids were at in life, and where we were moving out of ministry and trying to figure out what life looked like out of ministry, really, is what we were doing. And I backed off on Plexus. I was making more money in other places at the time, and that was immediate for our family, and we needed that immediate need. And that was okay for where we were. I never stopped taking Plexus. I never stopped ordering. We, continued to do that. My family was on the products. We believed in them. It was not that we didn't believe in the products. It was about just where we were in life. But there's been other moments where I have come back to Plexus and then gone out of it again just because life happened again, with lots of kiddos and all the things. It's a lot going on. But Plexus has always been a constant. And I have to share that the products are amazing. I'm not on any medication anymore for anxiety, depression, or anything like that. The only things that I am taking are supplements. I was in a really, really dark place before starting to take Plexus products. And they changed my life. God used them to save me from a pit that I was in. I never stopped taking the products, always believed in them, would still share with people, like I would recommend them and things, but I just wasn't working the business like I had been. And I've always been able to come back to this community. They have believed in me more than I have believed in myself. And that's the community that you are a part of in this Plexus family is unlike any other community that I've been a part of. And that's a lot of different communities through ministry, through different things. We've done ministry with Cassie and Kyle, and they are still constant in our life. Um, and I'm so thankful that the Lord crossed paths in this way, and that we have been able to be at conventions and trips and all the things with our Plexus community, because those are memories that we will never forget, and our kids enjoy those memories too. I'm just really thankful for this community, this business, this opportunity, the financials, the products that have brought me back to who I am over and over and over again is life changing. And I could never be thankful enough to Cassie for just continuing to share, even when she probably didn't want to sometimes. So that's my story. And yeah, I'm going to pass it on to Matthew Wyatt.
Thank you, Alexis. And thank you, before I start, thank you for being vulnerable enough to share. I think our stories, excuse me, our stories line up in a lot of different ways, but I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to try to fit this into like a nice little box. But I just want you to know that I could write a book on what has happened in the past 8 years or so, and trying to fit this in so you guys understand this. I'm going to get going because I know my wife's on here, and I know she put a time limit on me. She is my constant, but I am Pastor Matt. I am a pastor of a church my wife and I planted in South Padre Island, Texas. Now, if you've never heard of it, neither did we. God just called us there. And if you want to know where it is, if you go any further south, you're either wet or in Mexico. We are almost Mexico is what they call the island, about 5 miles from the Mexican border. I've been pastoring the church for almost 3 years, and I've been a pastor for 14 years. Man, that's a lot. But I have been on Plexus for 6 years. My wife has been on Plexus for 7 years. She tried for 1 full year to get me to take the product. And I'm sure there are other men, husbands, and wives, you can relate to this. Every time she would talk about it, and I think she ordered it without asking me as well. But I'm glad she did. But every time she would ask if I would take it, it was always no. It's not prescribed by a doctor. It's witchcraft. It's black magic. It's all this stuff. Like they're just selling you this miracle water, this miracle juice that it's not going to work. For 1 full year, complete. I was completely against it until 2018 happened. What you don't know about me is prior to being in ministry, I was a full-time drug addict and alcoholic. 7 years of pain medication and alcohol every single day for 7 years. 6 overdoses. The Lord used my wife to literally save my life. And it caught up to me. When I say this number, people don't believe me, but you can talk to my wife, you can talk to the doctors, you can talk to anybody. I was taking 80 to 100 Vicodin per day with a bottle of vodka at night. And that was for 7 years. Now, I want you to understand what that does to your body. There's a reason why I had 6 overdoses and almost lost my life. But I thought I was in the clear because it had been over 9 years of the doctor saying, hey, everything looks amazing. Until I was speaking, and all of a sudden I felt like something in my gut exploded. And I'm trying to get through the speech with all this pain that's going on. And I finish my wife takes me to the hospital and they say, we have to do emergency surgery on you. So they did surgery on my lower intestine and my colon because the damage that I did during my addiction literally just broke open everything inside of me. It took a while, but it happened. And after the surgery, the doctor put me on 3 medications because he said, I want you to look at your lab work. Your lab work, your body is not right. It's all over the place. Like if you get your labs done and you look at the if it's green, you're good. Yellow, you're like, okay, you got to keep an eye on it. Red, over half of my labs were in the red, and the other half were in the yellow. There was nothing that was in the green. So I saw with my own eyes this lab work that was off the charts. And he said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but here's 3 medications that you have to be on for the rest of your life. Now, I was 38 at the time. You guys can do the math on how old I am now, but I was 38 at the time. And I went to my wife and said, I don't want to be on this medication for the rest of my life. And here's where my wife stepped in and she said, will you now trust me just for 2 months? We'll put aside what the doctor ordered, but just for 2 months, I want you to give Plexus a shot. The thing that I started Plexus for was regularity. That was the only reason. It is this bottle right here, and you can see it's the very large one because I have to make sure that I take this every day. Because of the surgery, I have to be on this. I don't have to, I get to. That's the exciting part about it, is I used the wrong word. I get to be on this because after 60 days, I went back to the doctor. He did lab work. Then he looked at me after the lab work and he said, well, it's still out of whack, but it looks like we're on the right track with your medication. I am so grateful that we put you on those 3 medications. I looked at my wife and I knew that I had to tell the doctor the truth. And so I told the doctor, I said, I need to be honest with you. I didn't take 1 dose of any of those 3 medications that you gave me. And his face dropped and he's like, what are you talking about? And I brought in the product, showed him. He looked at it. He was kind of defeated because it wasn't what he wanted. It was what somebody else had prescribed. And he said, you know what? If I were you, I would stay on those forever. It looks like what is happening to your body is working. So you can stop the medication that I prescribed, but continue with this medication. And that was the triplex. So from 2018 until now, I've been on the triplex. I've also added other things in, but what was amazing was I found out within those few months, because I was consistent. Consistency, for those hearing, consistency is so key. You can't just take it once and then wait a week and then try it again and you're like, it's not working. No, consistency was key. But I realized that along with regularity, because I was going every 3 days. I was going number 2 every 3 days. And I thought it was normal because it was just how my body was. I was like, oh, this is just who I am and how my body is. Well, come to find out, that's not normal. And so it is like clockwork with me. It's not rushing to the bathroom. It's wake up, have a cup of coffee, and I'm good to go. And I realized that, yes, it helped my regularity, but all of a sudden I had energy that I couldn't describe. And I realized that ministry is exhausting. And anyone who's in ministry, you can say amen to that, but it is exhausting at times. It's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done, but it is exhausting. But all of a sudden my energy is going up. Instead of a pot of coffee a day, I realized I was drinking 1 cup in the morning and nothing throughout the rest of the day. The other thing was mental clarity. I realized that this brain fog that I had been living with that I didn't even know was there, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm seeing things more clearly. Like I have passion to do more things. I don't believe that it is a coincidence that as I gained this clarity, passion, energy, that all of a sudden I wanted to do things that before I was like, no, I'm too tired to do. And it's not a coincidence that since then, this isn't a pat on the back or anything like that, but I never thought I would go back to school because I was so tired and ministry was, I felt like it was just emotionally, mentally, spiritually draining. But then all of a sudden, not only regularity, energy, skin was clearing up, lost my hair, but that has nothing to do with Plexus. But I went back to school, and since 2018, I have 3 degrees. And I fully believe that if Plexus didn't come into my life, I wouldn't have had that energy to go after those goals. But I want to fast forward to now. And I get emotional about it. But yeah, about 8 months ago, there was a friend that he needed a kidney. And I saw his post and I told my wife, I was like, we need to pray for somebody to step up and donate a kidney to this person. And I said, I can't. I saw my lab work in 2018. There is not a chance that I would be a candidate to donate a kidney. So I said, we're just going to pray for someone to step up. We're going to pray for someone to be tested, someone to go. Well, then all of a sudden, God is putting this person in every dream that I have. And then as I'm walking throughout the day, a little nudge of this, I'll say his name, Shelby. Shelby's name, just on my brain. I was like, okay, all right, God, what do I do? And I went in to get tested, like just the initial testing, like the basic, and they said, okay, same blood type, body composition. If you want, you can fly to New York it was on your own dime. If you don't give a kidney, you don't receive any reimbursement for going. But what's amazing is Plexus paid for my flight up there to get tested. So I walk in and I'm watching the clock, I promise you. But I walk in and I meet with the doctor. And I tell him my story of 7 years addiction. 2018, there was an issue with a surgery where I had to have 2 blood transfusions because something broke within the week of them doing the surgery. And my wife found me in the bathroom with blood all over. And my blood pressure was 53/39. And that's how much blood I had lost at the time. So I'm telling you, all these things stacked up against me. And I go before it's NYU Langone, which is one of the premier hospitals in all of America. And I'm with one of the main doctors, one of the top kidney doctors. And he said, today is going to be a hard day. He said, it's going to be about 13 hours of a bunch of different tests that you're going to have to take. With the story you just told me, you are probably at best a 0.05% chance of being able to donate a kidney. Do you still want to go through with today? Because it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard day. And it was a hard day. They tested and looked at every single part of me. At the end of the day, he showed me the lab work, and I have it saved, but everything was in the green. Now, 2018, it was red, yellow, everything was in the green. And the doctor even questioned, he said, did you lie to me about your past? Like the drug use, the alcoholism, did you lie about it? Because your inside of you is like a 25-year-old, and it doesn't make sense of what you had just told me about your past life. So I told him, I said, would I really spend the money to come up here and tell you that I used to be a drug addict? Like, does that make any sense? I would go the opposite way and tell you how good I was, right? And I've never done anything wrong, never smoked a cigarette, ate all my vegetables, and I'd like to give you my kidney. And he was like, okay, you're right, but this doesn't make sense to me. And I was able to share. I said, one, I believe this was God's will for me to be here. I believe that God used Plexus and God used himself to heal my body. And about a week later, I get a call saying, you are a 5 out of 5 match for this person. You can give him your kidney. You are a match for Shelby. Now, the story didn't end there. And if I look a little tired, skinny, I'm sorry. It's been 4 weeks post-surgery. Spoiler, I gave a kidney, but I'm still healing and trying to gain back the energy and all of that. And Plexus has been huge with that. But right before our surgery date, the doctor said that in Shelby, they found an antibody that would attack my kidney and possibly kill it if we were to do the swap. And he said, we can't do it, but felt the Lord keep saying, will you still follow me? Will you still trust me in this? And I said, okay, what's the next step? And the next step was, you can do a chain donation. So you can give a kidney to someone else that is on the list, and Shelby will be moved to the top of the list and be guaranteed a kidney between 6 months to a year. So he still gets a kidney, but you're able to give someone else a kidney. What is amazing about this is Shelby, we're still praying for Shelby that the kidney comes quicker than what they're saying. But about 4 weeks ago, I was able to give a kidney to a 21-year-old from Connecticut who was on end-stage renal failure. And the doctor got a call from the surgeon of the girl, and he said, I never get these calls, but I want you to know that that kidney that you gave me was the perfect kidney for her, and she's up and she's moving around for the first time in a long time. He said, I don't know all about it, but that kidney was perfect. Now in the hospital, we can talk about this at a later time. In the hospital, I had to advocate because they told me 3 different times no on bringing Plexus into the hospital during my surgery. I kept saying, I'm going to bring it. Now, even if I have to hide it, I'm bringing it. I'm going to bring it because I believe in it so much. I wanted to stay consistent. And finally, my surgeon sat down and he looked at the Plexus products and then looked at me, set them by me, and he said, you can go ahead and take these. I give you full clearance on taking these products. Now, long story short, or even longer for some, that's 7 doctors in my life that have given me approval to take Plexus over what they have tried to prescribe me, because I've advocated for my health because of what it's done to me. I give all glory to God for the healing in my body, but I also, hear me, I also give him glory for introducing me to something that he knew would heal me. So in turn, I could help somebody else. Now, this isn't a faith on this side and then Plexus on this side. It is not separate from me. This is an extension of God's miracles in my life and the lives of others, where it goes hand in hand, where God created these, just some genius people and genius products, because he knew there's a girl in 6 years that will need your kidney. So I need you on these products now so that you can go ahead and follow through with that. So I'm sorry if that took a while, but Cassie, I love you and thank you. I'm going to pass it to you.
Oh no, I truly, like, you could just keep going all night. I love hearing the story of just true redemption and restoration in both of your stories. I think that that's what is so special about what we get to do is we get to really walk beside people in life and watch restoration and healing happen. And, it's not always coming off prescriptions. It's not always, it doesn't always look, like, one specific way, right? We all have different stories, but that's the beautiful thing and why I love to do these Tuesday night calls is that we get to hear what these products have truly done in our lives and what one of the reasons why I chose to partner with Plexus is because they address the root issues. And I had no idea, to be honest. I didn't understand a lot about gut health. I didn't really understand how important that was. I didn't understand the difference of why Plexus, what was different about it versus the supplements that I was buying at the grocery store, right? And so we share our stories because we know that there are so many people out there on social media, out in our daily life that are suffering, that are struggling. And most of us don't talk about those hard things that are going on in our lives. And so sharing our story, I hope that it sheds a little bit of light on what could be. That maybe, just maybe, God is using this to be that very vehicle for healing for your body. Maybe bringing you into a community that will support you and really wrap their arms around you as you walk through your journey, right? So we just want to thank you for listening in. And we pray that that you'll be open to what this could be for you. It really is truly something that never in a million years did I think a vitamin, would give me my life back, would bring both of these people into my life, create a community that I get to be a part of that has brought so many blessings to my life, and a business opportunity that I was not looking for, but that has changed the very future of my children's lives. We have been able to adopt because of this opportunity. We have been able to get out of debt. We've been able to all the things, like so many things that were holding us in bondage. So that's why we get to share. We share because we know that there are so many people out there that are looking for answers, that are praying for answers. So any questions that you have, feel free to ask in the comments. Feel free to reach out to the person who invited you to listen to this call. But we just are so grateful that you were here listening in. So thank you. And we will see you next time.